Sir Isaac Newton, as we know, was a brilliant scientist and the father of that branch of science known as Newtonian physics. But few know that he was also a great theologian. In fact, he was considered a profoundly insightful theologian by his contemporaries, who wrote many religious tracts addressing the literal interpretation of the Bible. And one of his most famous interpretations was that of prophecy. For as he foretold, about the times of the end, a body of men will be raised up who will turn their attention to the prophecies and insist upon their literal interpretation in the midst of much clamor and opposition. And now that we have reached the times of the end, it is time to turn our attention to the prophecies and to their literal interpretation. For this is the Prophecy News. And this body of men insists on the literal interpretation of biblical prophecies of the end. For the prophecy of John of Patmos, also known as Revelation, says, "Then there was given me a measuring rod like a staff, and someone said, 'Get up and measure the temple of God and the altar, and those who worship in it. Leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the nations, and they will tread underfoot the holy city for 42 months. Revelation 11, 1-2. For the books of prophecy were opened by our present President, Donald J. Trump, on May the 14th, 2018, as he opened the American Embassy of Israel in Jerusalem. The United States finally and officially recognized Jerusalem as the true capital of Israel. Thus, on that day, as the angel of Revelation said, "Get up and measure the temple of God and the altar, and those who worship in it." And following suit, dozens of other nations, principally allies of the United States and of Israel, also moved their embassies and consulates into the holy city of Jerusalem. But after being anointed the holy city of Israel, what else happened in Jerusalem? As the prophecy says, the nations will tread underfoot the holy city for 42 months. And to tread underfoot comes from the Greek word patio, which means to trample. And what happened on that same day when Jerusalem was declared the holy city by President Trump? Outside the new embassy in Jerusalem, demonstrators rallied, waving Palestinian flags and shouting, "With our blood and tears we will redeem you, Palestine." And as reported by the United Press International, clashes broke out throughout Israel. There were demonstrations at the border for the past 7 weeks, which led to more than 50 deaths and over 9,000 injuries. And since that date, hundreds have been killed and tens of thousands have been injured. For as the prophecy says, the nations will tread underfoot the holy city for 42 months. So now that we are rapidly approaching the end, the Prophecy News is being brought to you weekly as the literal interpretation of these biblical prophecies. We will bring to you up-to-date news from around the world and how they literally pertain to the prophecies spoken of millennia ago. For we are here to testify of the truth, and the true literality of the prophecy is this, that the Son of Man is about to return. For, as Christ said, "You will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened, for those things must take place, But that is not yet the end. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. But all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. Then they will deliver you to tribulation, and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name. At that time many will fall away, and will betray one another, and hate one another. Many false prophets will arise, and will mislead many. Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end, he will be saved. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all the nations. And then the end will come. Matthew 24, 6-14.